Today we're going to be working in our EnVision math workbooks. We're going to be on lesson 10.1 and 10.2, and we're going to kind of roll those into two lessons because they're pretty simple to understand. Our first goal is, you can repeat after me, I can add 10 or 100 to a given number. The second goal that we're going to be working on, and this is from 10-2, is that I can use an open number line to add 3-digit numbers. We're going to be starting with the first goal, and that's from 10-1. So we've already discussed how to identify the digits in a number and their proper place value. So if I gave you the number 862 and I said circle the number that's in the tens place, you would know instantly that I'm talking about the 6 right here and that this 6 is worth 60. If I told you to increase that tens place by 10, if I said add 10 to that number, you should just know, hey, all I have to do is add one more to the number 6, which would be 7, and then the number would be 672. That's essentially what we're going to be working on with regard to the tens place and the 100s place. The way that this lesson kind of starts is with a word problem to get you going and warmed up with that. This is a solve and share, meaning, hey, we're going to solve it, show me what you've got. But since I don't have y'all in front of me, I'm going to just solve and show you a couple of different ways to tackle the same problem. You can choose any way that you would like for this. It does give you 3 different options. Alright, so Forest Park Nursery sells trees. Sal buys a maple tree for $125, and a spruce tree costs 10 more than a maple tree. An elm tree costs $100 more than a maple tree. What is the cost of a spruce tree? An elm tree? The directions further go to say, hey, you can use dollar bills or you can use place value blocks. You can also use mental math. We'll save that for the third way that we solve this equation. We'll start first by marking up our problem. I'm looking for things that are important. I want to know the maple tree cost. The maple tree costs $125. I'm going to just kind of put a note of that to the side. I'm going to just put an M for maple, and maple is $125. A spruce tree costs $10 more than that maple tree. So, hey, spruce, you're $10 more than the maple tree. We know that the maple tree costs $125. So if we're trying to figure out the cost of that spruce tree, we're going to say, hey, spruce, you are $125 plus the $10. We know that it's addition because it's talking about adding more than the other number that's there. The last thing that we know is that there's an elm tree. The elm tree costs $100 more than the maple tree. We still know that that maple tree costs $125. So, elm tree, you cost $100 more than, and that's a comparison word, the maple tree. So, I'm going to do an E for my elm, and I am the maple tree cost, which is $125, and I'm adding $100 to that. What is the cost of the spruce tree? What is the cost of the elm tree? So, when I read this problem, I had to go back and I had to do a reread, and then I'm taking each little step that I know, and I'm breaking it down. That's the best way to solve a word problem, is to kind of break it down and figure out the things that you know and then try to solve for the unknown things. We know that our maple tree is 125. I can quick add what is the S for? The spruce tree, 125 plus $10. 5 ones plus 0 is 5. 2 tens plus 1 10 is 3 tens. And 100 plus no hundreds is 100. So I know that my spruce tree costs $135. And this I'm just doing horizontal way. I'm going to show you in a minute if I wanted to use place value blocks or if I wanted to use mental math. But the first thing that we needed to do was solve and get our equations. Our equations are going to help us to solve and figure out what the missing numbers are that we're looking for. 125 plus $100. We've got 5 ones plus 0 ones is 5 ones. 2 tens plus 0 tens is 2 tens. 100 plus another 100 is 200. Don't forget your dollar sign. So the elm tree costs $225 and the spruce is $135. I'm going to just kind of move this other stuff to the side. I'm going to take my same equations and I'm going to solve them in a different way. So my spruce equation, I'm just moving these down a little bit. My spruce equation says $125 plus $10. I'm going to start with showing dollar bills. Here's a $100 bill. That is not a great job. All right, let's try this again. Here's $100, and I've got a 20, and I also have a $5 bill. So that is $125. Now I'm going to add a $10 bill. If I look at all of these numbers, it should tell me how much that it costs for a spruce tree. When we're adding money, just with a lot of other things, we're going to start with our largest number and then go to our smallest. So 100 plus 20 is 120. Add 10 more, 130. Then add 5, we've got 135. And then that's for the spruce. And so that's how you would show that using the dollar bills, that it indicates that you have as an option using the dollar bills. If I was going to use the dollar bills to solve the elm tree, it would be the same kind of deal. Here's my $100, and then I've got my 20 and my 5. This is what I know that it costs for the maple tree, and it said the maple tree plus another $100 more. So I'm going to just add a $100 bill. I could draw out a whole bunch of 20s. I could draw out a bunch of 10s. I could even draw 100 ones if I wanted to. The best option would be to use the largest bill possible, which is a $100 bill. So if I go 100, if I add these together, 100 plus 100 is 200. So 220, 225. And that's what I would get for the elm. This is kind of where we're headed with a lot of our thinking into getting into the mental math portion of our math curriculum. If I wanted to solve these equations using a place value chart, my equation at the top would just be 125 plus 10. Both of these are dollar signs. 125 plus 10, my hundreds, my tens, and my ones. I've got 1 in the hundreds, 2 in the tens, 5 in the ones. If I add a 10, which would go right over here in my tens place, I would look and see what do I have. I have 1 over here, 3 in the tens, and, oh, that's not right. 5 in my ones place to make 135. Which is the cost of my spruce tree. Now, you could do that for the elm. I'm going to just kind of fast forward a little bit through this. That's for your solve and share. You should be able to add mentally at this point and see a lot of patterns. Like if I was trying to ask you the question, tell me the pattern of these numbers. What do you notice? take a glance at this tens place. These are all increasing by 10. So the pattern would be add 10 more. That's the pattern. We're going to be able to do this mentally when we see math problems. I have a couple of math problems I'm going to show you. I'm going to just stick with that 125. If I said 125 plus 10, you know I'm only adding a 1 in my tens place. I don't care about my ones place right now because there's nothing there. So 125 plus 1 added to this, 1 to my tens place would be 135. 100, let's see, now I'm going to change it to a 4. 450 plus 10 is 460. You catch the idea. You might see some problems where it has like a missing number and it'll just say, hey, what did I add to this? Like if your number was 560 and it said plus some magical number equals 570, you would know that the missing number would be a 10 because this has increased by 1 in my tens place. Those are the kinds of patterns that I want you to look for. There will be a point where you're able to just look at a math problem and solve it in your head using some of these strategies that we discuss in class. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about is if you're adding 100. If you were adding 100, let's just say you were basic. You're adding 100 to 500. 500 plus 100 more would be 600. If I'm saying 700, if you're adding 100 to 700, then you're saying 700 plus 100 more, it would be 800. I'm just looking at my hundreds place, and since my ones and my tens place both have nothing, and same with over here, I'm literally just increasing this by 1. That's kind of the pattern of the day. I don't want to spend too much time on that. These are things that should be very, very simple for you. The next thing that I do want to talk about is using an open number line in order to add. This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be flipping over to 10-2. For these problems, you're going to be using the open number line. You should have some familiarity with the open number line. If you had a question on your paper that said 598 plus 123 equals something, you're going to start with this larger number. Well, let's just start with it. 598, I'm going to go ahead and put that on my open number line over here on the left-hand side. 598, and I'm adding 123. Think about how this number looks in expanded form. That might help you to better understand how to show it on your open number line. 123, I'm going to be adding 100. So 598 plus 100 more is 698. Make sure you bring your line down here and touch on that open number line. So 598 plus 100 is 698. Now you need to add 2 tens. You can either do a jump of 10 or 2 jumps of 10 or 1 jump of 20. I'm going to go ahead and just do plus 10. So 698 plus 10. Notice that this is going to turn into going into the next 100. So it would be, instead of 69 tens, we would be 70 tens. And remember, you can look at the hundreds when you're talking about the number 698. I like to think about that. If I'm adding a 10, this is 69 tens, technically. And so I'm just turning my 69 into a 70. So that was plus 10. I need to add another 10 because it is asking me to add 23. So 100 plus 10, and we're going to be adding 10 more. So 708 plus 10 is 718. Now I'm going to add 3. I'm going to go ahead and just get to my nearest 10 in my ones place. So 718, I need to add 2 to get to the next 10. That gets me to 720, and I need to add 1 more to get to 721. So, just double check. My original number was 598. I needed to add 123. Double check. 100 plus 10 is 110, plus 10 more is 120. Here's 122, 123. So I have added 598 plus 123. My answer should be 721. And that's how you show it on your open number line. These are problems that we have been working on. The next problem that I want to work on, just for practice, 326 plus 557. 326 plus 557. We are going to be using the open number line. I'm starting with my 326, and then I'm going to add the 557. 326 right here. I'm adding 557. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to just go ahead and just show my 5s like that. 326, we're going to do plus 100, plus 100, plus 100, plus 100, plus 100. That'll show me the 500s. 300 plus 100 is, 326 plus 100 is 426. I'm going to add another 100. 526, add another 100. 626, add another 100. 726, add another 100. 826. Now I'm going to add the 57. I'm running out of space, and I already am really good at adding these numbers, so I'm going to show you how to push the easy button. You know that this breaks down to 500 plus 50 plus the 7. This is our expanded form. I'm going to add my 50, which is what this is the same as, next. So 826, I'm going to add 5 to my tens place, which is worth 50, to get 876. Now I'm going to add the 7. For me, it's easier to break apart the 7 into adding 4 and then adding 3 because I want this 6 to have the partner pair to the next 10. So I'm going to add the 4 to get to 880. And then I'm going to add the 3 to get to the 883, which is the sum of 326 plus 557. I need to do a double check that I've done this correctly. 326, that's what I started with, and then I've added 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 50, and then 4 plus 3 equals 7. I've added 557, and my sum is 883. I'm going to give you a couple of problems to work on your own, and then I'll go over them. So I'm going to put a couple of problems up, and I'll talk about it momentarily. So the first problem I'd like you to solve is 435 plus 196. The second problem that I want you to solve is 118. Oh, let's start with 300. 335 plus 118. So I want you to solve using the open number line. So go ahead and push pause, solve this for me, and we'll go over it in just a moment. And I am going to kind of scoop because I want you to work on this. All right, so you should be done. You should have paused it, and now we're back. We're going to go ahead and review the first one. So 435 plus 196, you have to solve using the open number line. That's the goal for today. So here's your open number line. You're going to put on there the 435. You're going to be adding 196. When we're adding, we're counting on our open number line. I'm going to go ahead and add my 100. So 435. I'm only increasing my hundreds place by 1, so it will be 535. So I've done that part. Then I need to add 96. I'm going to look right here in my tens place. The easy thing for me to do is figure out what's the partner pair that this 3 needs to get to the next 10. The 3 needs 7 in order to get to the next 10. So I'm breaking apart my 90 into adding 70, and then I'll add 20 after that. So 535 will turn into 605. Remember, the 535 is just like saying that you have 53 tens. If you were adding 53 tens plus the 7 tens, that's why we know it would get to the next 10, which would be the 60 tens. 53 plus 7 is 60, and so we have 60 tens. So we've got 605. Now we're going to add 20 to that. So 60 tens plus 2 tens will be 625. Now I'm going to add the 6. I'm going to look and see, hey, this 5 needs 5 more to get to the next 10. So I'm going to add the 5 ones, and then I'm going to add the 1. I just broke apart this number 6 into a 5 and a 1. Okay, so 525 plus 5 more, 625 plus 5 more is 630. And if I add 1 to that, it will be 631. So the sum that I get should be 631 that goes up here in this box. But first, let's do a double check. I've got 435, and I need to add 196. 100 plus 70 is 170. Add 20 more, 190. Then we've got a 5, 195, and one more, 196. So I have added 196. I almost wrote that there. To get 631. The second problem that you worked on is 335 plus 118. I want to show this on the open number line. That was the way you were told to solve. I'm starting with the number 335. I'm going to be adding 100, 110, and 8 ones. So, let's start with adding our 100. 335, we're just adding 1 to my hundreds place to get 435. I'm going to add 1 to my tens place next. So instead of 43 tens, I'm having 44 tens. So this will be 44 tens and 5 ones. And I'm just looking at the 43 and turning it into a 44. Then I'm going to add 8. Instead of just adding the 8, I noticed that this 5 has a partner pair. It needs 5 in order to get to the next 10. So 445 plus 5 will be 450. And now I need to add 3 so that I've added a total of 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. So 450, add the 3, it's 453 for the sum. I'm going to just do a double check. 335. I've got it right here. I need to add 118. 100 plus 10 is 110. Plus 5 is 115. Plus 3 more is 118. So my sum is 453. This is how you can use an open number line in order to show addition.